Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Row of Gilead here, coming at you with another how-to tutorial video. This time, we're going to be talking about planning for Dark Dimensions, specifically Dark Dimension 7, but if you're a newer player, maybe you're still working on Dark Dimension 5 or Dark Dimension 6, you are going to find some tips and tricks and team recommendations out of this very, very useful, and if you are playing fast and loose and really just plowing through the content, you might be able to use some of these teams for numerous Dark Dimensions. So, without any further hold up, let's jump right into it. So, we're looking at the Dark Dimension Planner available at MarvelStrikeForce.com. And if you sync your roster up, as you plug your toons into each of the sections, it's going to show you what gear you're missing. This works for all of the currently released Dark Dimensions. So if you didn't know about this, make sure you head on over to MarvelStrikeForce.com, link your account. You want the free daily web claims from the web store and the milestones anyway. And then as an added fun bonus, you get access to the Dark Dimension Planner, helping you really customize your roster to tailor fit the goals that you need to make your Dark Dimensions work. Now, Dark Dimensions always use at least 4 of these big tags. We get City, Global, Cosmic, okay? All of them up until Dark Dimension 6 use Legendary, and then Dark Dimension 7 introduces Mythic as well. So what you're going to want to pay attention to here is how not only you choose these characters, but you got to pay attention to the longevity of the characters you're choosing, and you can't be afraid to pivot as you play, and that's something we're going to kind of talk about. But let's jump right into my choices for Dark Dimension 7, and I'll kind of explain the thought process as we go. So, starting off, if you look straight above me here, we've got the non-legendary and non-mythic city characters. Now, it is important to note that when you build these characters, there are 5 sets of nodes, okay? Actually 6 technically. You have 2 non-restricted, 2 city, non-legendary, non-mythic, 2 global, non-legendary, non-mythic, 2 cosmic, non-legendary, non-mythic. Then you have a legendary section and a mythic section. So you can do this a couple different ways. If you want to build your mythic and legendary characters first because they're the linchpins of your team, that is smart. That's not a bad way to play it because you can still use them on those first 2 unrestricted nodes, and then you can start building into your city characters as you find more use for them. Now, jumping in with City, we just got confirmation this week of the Orchis raids. This is the second week in August. So Orchis raids, if you're watching this in the future, are still yet to come. And we know for certain that a couple of the raid teams that we've been investing in are going to stick around. And in this case, we're talking namely Spider Society. They're the hero skill raid team that we're using right now in Incursion 2.3 and the Incursion raids period. And they're going to carry us through the rest of this year and into the Orchis raids. So building up this team is twofold. One, you're going to need them probably at level 100 gear tier 19 before the end of the year if you are in an alliance that is serious about pushing the new raid content. So building them up for Dark Dimension 7 or Dark Dimension 6, as there's a city section there as well, is not a bad idea. We're going to be using them for at least the next 4 to 6 months, and they're going to be your main city raid team for the foreseeable future, so investing in them is not a bad call. I already took Pavitra Parker to gear tier 19. He's my first gear tier 19 character. Vulture is cheap, so not long behind him, and if you look at all of the gear requirements, you'll see there's a lot of skill stuff and a good chunk of bio, and bio is something that's going to be a bit of a pain as we go. A big thing that you need to keep in mind when building for Dark Dimension or building your roster for new gear tiers in general is how much are you loading one tier versus another. As you'll see as we go throughout this, I've tried my best to balance bio, mutant, skill, tech, all that stuff so that I'm using the best potential characters, but I'm also not waiting around unnecessarily for characters that I don't really need. And a perfect example is going to be this non-legendary city section where you'll notice I have Vulture instead of Ghost Spider. Now, yes, you could take the whole team. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's so much bio and so much skill gear is going to get poured just into those 5 characters that it's going to take longer to get your other bio and skill characters you're going to need for your other teams up and running. Now, that's probably the smoothest way if you're very focused on the raids. Just, hey, take the extra time, get your whole Spider Society up to gear 19, level 100, and then, you know, you'll have them for the non-legendary, non-mythic city section, and you'll have them for not only Incursion 2, 3, but also the Spotlight raids and the Orchis raids. So, you know, they're not a bad call. I'm taking in Vulture because I love Vulture. He's very useful for me in things like Cosmic Crucible and War, and he's cheaper than a lot of the other characters, and he's a tech character, so he's going to take a different type of gear than everybody else, allowing me to get that team up and running faster. Moving on ahead. There's a bunch of stuff you could do for non-legendary and non-mythic global. What I'm going to do, because I'm a bigger Cosmic Crucible player, I'm going to take Cabal, okay? We're going Iron Patriot, Leader, and Namor all day. They're going to be huge for me in Cosmic Crucible. They're not going anywhere from my offense from that anytime soon. They're also going to synergize with one of the other characters I'm going to be bringing in with me, and then which is Ares, and then we've got Black Knight. Now, we're going to come back to Ares in a second, but let's talk about the benefits of bringing in Cabal. If you look at them, there's Tech, Bio, and Mutant in the 3 of them, so already you have 3 different gear classes, so you're not bogging down any one category by using those 3. And they're going to be great in Cosmic Crucible. They're decent in War, but they're kind of a linchpin team for me because I love Cosmic Crucible. Now, Ares is a War character, and he is currently being released via the Battle Passes. Those are the ones with the dark promo credits that you have to do things like Blitz and play Arena and Real-Time Arena, and you get the points bonuses from War and Cosmic Crucible weekly. Now, everyone's going to be able to get him unlocked free-to-play, depending on how long you want to wait through those free-to-play passes. I will be purchasing him because I feel like the $20 investment in each of those passes really helps my account with getting extra Crimson gear, with getting extra gold, training materials, cores, and we'll get ourselves, by the time the next 3 months is over, we're going to have ourselves a 7-7, maybe even somewhere in the diamonds, Ares, who is a new stat character. Now, I want to take 1 second right here because we're going to talk about this a lot, but I don't want to harp on it too much. The reason I'm bringing in Ares instead of somebody like Nightcrawler or Gambit, and we'll talk about them in a second too, is mainly because new stats characters going forward as of end of July, beginning of August of 2024, they're hitting another power cap increase, basically. And what that means is that power creep in the current meta got too strong with the speed creep, and they're going to take it to the next level, and they're going to start boosting base stats and simplifying the kits. Now, right now, it might not be the smartest idea because they're going to get outran by a lot of the current teams. However, as we start to upgrade these characters and get them into higher star levels, they're going to far eclipse the speed meta and then have extra HP, damage, attack, crit chance, all that stuff to go with it. So making sure that as we move forward into the second half of 2024, we should focus on using the newest characters whenever possible. That's always kind of been the mentality, but now even more so because of their difference in base stats. So we're going to take in Ares because by the time I get to global and I get him to the level and the gear required, he is going to probably have 4 or 5 yellow and red stars, and he's going to be a lot stronger than most of the other units. He's going to be able to pump out some damage, and he's a villain, which is going to kind of synergize a bit more with our Cabal. And then lastly, we're bringing Black Knight. Black Knight is just easily one of the top 5 characters in the game right now, and he's not a legendary, he's not a mythic, but he is a dark promo credit character. So Black Knight might be a little harder to get the red stars on, but he is useful everywhere. And 4 out of these 5 units are used to unlock Old Man Logan, who is at this current point in time the newest legendary. We are still waiting on what's his name, Odin, to come on into the game and be our new legendary character. But if you look at these 2 teams, not just the global team that I'm building here, but my city team, you'll notice that they're also all requirements for unlocking Old Man Logan. Now, you might say, Ro, you don't need Spider Society, but let's be honest, you need Spider Society for those hero skill nodes to get Old Man Logan. So already, the 2 teams we've put together for city and global have all kinds of myriad of uses. There's tunes that are useful in War, Cosmic Crucible, Arena, and all kinds of other places, okay? So these two teams are a great example of taking all these things that you're going to need to use for other facets of the game. You're going to need them at a high level and leveraging that to helping you get through your dark dimensions. And I would highly suggest you think of this strategy-wise when you go through earlier or later dark dimensions. Always pay attention to who the newest characters are, what that newest synergy is going to be, and try to load up your teams with tunes that are going to be useful to you in multiple game modes. Now that we're through the big portion of explaining and tips and general discussion, we're going to keep moving into the cosmic section. Now, the funny part about the cosmic section is I only actually have 3 of these characters unlocked as of right now. I have Cosmic Ghost Rider, Kang, and Silver Surfer unlocked, and they're almost ready to go. We are waiting to unlock Gladiator and Endgame Thanos. Now, you might be asking me, Ro, why are you waiting for characters that aren't even in the game yet, that you're probably not even going to purchase? Why are you going to bring in these low-star characters to Dark Dimension 7? And the reason is really simple. It's because they're going to have those new boosted stats. Gladiator and Endgame Thanos are going to be the part of the new arena meta. It hasn't really shaken out yet whether they're going to stay on defense or be part of your offensive team every round, but Gladiator certainly will be. And then Endgame Thanos, they're going to be arena meta going forward to the second half of 2024. They're going to have some definite longevity. Then you have Cosmic Ghost Rider, who is phenomenal in war and actually has some staying power in Cosmic Crucible. Kang, because, well, Kang, if you haven't realized that Kang is one of those top 5, top 10 best non-legendary, non-mythic characters in the game, I don't know what to tell you. And then Silver Surfer, again, because new stats. It's fun because Silver Surfer was one of the first boosted stat characters when they first did a power jump, and he's part of the first team to receive that power jump again going into the second half of 2024. So to not dwell on these too much, again, it's the same kind of mentality. We are making sure we have a variety of gear types across all 5 characters. We are choosing characters that are going to be future-proof in the meta. We're going to get 6 to 8 months out of all of these tunes, or they're going to stay, current. And then, of course, taking tunes that we use in multiple game modes anyway, right? Moving on ahead. Let's scroll on down to Legendary. Now, there's 3 or 4 choices here that I feel like are no-brainers and everyone's going to choose them. And then the other 2 slots, you can kind of do what you want. And I'll explain kind of what I'm doing with it as well. So what we're doing for Legendary, we're going Doc Ock, Green Goblin Classic, Black Cat, Old Man Logan. I think those 4 are pretty solid, guaranteed choices all around. You have synergy with Doc Ock and Green Goblin Classic. They are both part of killer teams as far as Sinister and Superior 6 are concerned. You can use them in War, you can use them in Cosmic Crucible, you can use them on villain campaigns. They pop up with uses in all kinds of places, and they have lots of plug-and-play viability. You actually get some city villain synergy out of that with Black Cat. She also removes revives, she stuns, she traumas, she removes buffs. She is a fantastic legendary, and she is an arena character. Even though she is currently falling out of the arena meta, she is not one to overlook. She is a legendary, she's fun, she's very viable, especially earlier game arena. And, she has insta-death moves and things like that that keep enemies from coming back through revive once. So, she's just got a nice toolbox of stuff. Old Man Logan, currently best legendary in the game as of the release of this video. Odin might beat him out when Odin releases, but Odin's not in the game yet, and that remains to be seen. So, this 5th spot, you'll notice that I have Rogue sitting in my 5th spot. Now, you can go Rogue, you could go Red Hulk, I think would be another solid bet, especially if you have him built up. But here's the thing, that 5th spot's probably going to be Odin, in all reality, depending on whether or not I get to that section with Odin leveled up in time. The reason I'm using Rogue is I have a ton of bio spread out through all these different teams. And even though my Red Hulk is 7 red, 7 yellow, so I could put some Dark Diamonds on him and he would see a lot of strength and improvement, he really only shines in War with his team or on some team with Apocalypse. And, Rogue, she shines in, Cosmic Crucible, which is, again, my biggest favorite game modes, so I want to make sure I'm investing in Cosmic Crucible stuff. She shines there with the X-treme X-Men. She has her own team with the Unlimited X-Men, and she's also mutant, and I don't have as much mutant stuff going on gear-wise, so I'm going to go with Rogue just because I feel like that's going to be the best value way for me to get there. I'm going to get a great tank for Cosmic Crucible at, you know, max level, max gear. She's got all of her abilities knocked out. And I'm because she's an X-Men tag, I have a very strong feeling, especially when Professor X launches with Dark Dimension 9 next year, that, you know, X-Men characters are going to get a lot of universal synergy, and I'm kind of banking on Rogue seeing a bit of a buff because of that. I could be wrong. I don't think there's any negative of going with somebody like Red Hulk, especially not if you already have him built up. You just got to be careful and watch your balance of gear to make sure that you're not bio heavy, because I have a lot of bio stuff going on in this lineup between the Spider Society and Super Skrull, and yeah, we're all over the place with bio gear. So I opted to go Rogue instead of Red Hulk. And again, if Odin comes out and I can get Odin to gear tier 19 at a decent star level before I get to the legendary section, I will be using Odin. You should always, always, always do your best to use the most recent, relevant meta characters in these events, because that's where you want to put your general investment. That's what's going to serve you the best over time. So I love Rogue. She's a bit of a passion project for me at this point, but I do think that investing in her is going to pay off later on down the line when we get Professor X finally unlocked, hopefully middle or early next year. And then lastly, let's talk the Mythic section. Again, I feel like there's 4 here that are no-brainers. You can do a lot of other stuff with the 5th slot, including just not using it. So we are going Kestrel, Super Skrull, Dormammu, and Apocalypse. Don't really feel like there's a lot of choice in, you know, those 4. They are 4 of the best characters in the game. Top 10, easy. They always rework Kestrel. Dormammu has kind of fallen to the back burner, but your other options are Ultimus, Ultron, and then you have, of course, Mephisto when we get through it the first time. So I don't know if I'm going to use Ultimus or Ultron. I might just try to power through it with the big 4 and then save some of that Crimson gear for Mephisto, so I could take Mephisto in quicker for my second run. Because you don't have to use 5 characters. Now, if you wanted to use 5 characters, Ultimus, being the fact that he just got a huge rework for the Annihilation team, or Annihilators team, he got the new stat bump, so he's got that new threshold for base stats. He's probably the best character to use. He has the cheapest Dark promo credit costs. He has some of the cheapest Dark Diamond costs. Now, I also have Ultron built. Back when I first started playing, Ultron was one of the better characters to put Dark promos on, and I hit the cap back when the cap was on Dark promo credits, and I needed to spend them so I would get more. So I ended up taking Ultron to 7 red, and then his diamonds were cheap, so I took Ultron to 3 diamond as well. Now, do I recommend any of you do that? Absolutely not. He is not that good. That was something that I had the luxury of being able to do because I've been playing for a while. But you'll notice I'm not planning on taking him into Dark Dimension 7 at the moment. I don't think he's got a lot of future viability unless he gets a rework to go on some new team. And even if he does, his stats, unless he gets the stat buff, he's going to get slapped around. I thought about it because of the Ultron bots, being able to get extra speed, extra offense, extra healing. But at the end of the day, it's not a great future investment. So I ended up running, I'm going to try to upgrade Ultimus. If he doesn't get there in time, I might just not use a 5th. I might just go Kestrel, Super Skrull, Dormammu, and Apocalypse, and call that a day. And just that's going to be my 4. And if I can get a 5th up in time without taking away from Mephisto's gear requirements, then I'll do it. However, if I can't, then that's just we're gonna hang out, we're gonna hold off and wait for Mephisto. Even if it takes us a few extra days, I would rather save the gear and have the second run and the maxed out Mephisto sooner than build up a character that I'm not necessarily gonna use potentially by the time we get to this segment. And then just one last little quick thing before we jump into the game, and I can show you guys my roster and just kind of what the upgrades have looked like for me in game, and kind of some of the things you can do to start prepping early. I just want to show you guys that at the bottom of this page, it does show you the total materials required from all the characters on your list. So it takes all those little breakdowns by subject, and it puts it all into one place. And you'll see there's some teal gear down here, and that's mostly for Ares and Ultimus, bringing them up. But we're pretty close, which is what kind of prompted me to start working on this this video and this content. We're actually a lot closer than I thought we were to being able to start making some decent headway in Dark Dimension 7. Now, let's go to the game real quick, and let's talk about things you can do to start prepping these characters a bit early. Now, you'll notice, we got Pav done. We have a lot of these little check marks done already, so a lot of these characters don't necessarily have all crimson gear for all 6 slots. So what I've been doing is, as I get the gear I need that's teal gear, I'll go in and I'll equip a piece of teal gear. Boom. Now that's one less upgrade I have to worry about. They're going to have more power, and it gives me a more accurate depiction of what my gear requirements are going to be when I go back to the planner to look and make sure that I have everyone where I want them. So, make sure that if you have tons of teal gear, there's no reason not to go through as you're leveling up these characters and max out those teal gears and equip them. This way, you know exactly what crimson gear you're looking for, how close certain characters are, and then they get a nice little stat boost while you're waiting to level them up and really get them into Gear 19 Crimson Gear territory. That said, friends, I hope that all helps you guys out a bit. I know it's been an exciting couple days for me to finally start planning. If you guys didn't know this, I am not a huge fan of Dark Dimension. This is the most fun part of Dark Dimension for me. Dark Dimension can be sweaty and stressful, friends. It's not something you're going to do overnight. It's something that if you're going to do it well, it takes, days of planning, weeks of preparation, and potentially a month or two of hard actual work getting in there, resetting nodes, beating nodes, deciding, okay, this was the best run, I'll take that loss for the day and either refresh or come back tomorrow. Dark Dimension is not for the faint of heart, but the rewards are phenomenal. Mephisto still widely regarded as the best character in the game. We'll see if that stays true after Dark Dimension 8 and our good friend Odin comes to the game. So, with that said, friends, I hope you all had a blast. I hope this helps you out. If it did, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's free for you. It helps me grow. We're super close to the first goal for monetization here on YouTube. So, if you guys have the time to like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. You don't have to spend any money. Free is fine with me. And then if you're so inclined, let me know what you're going to do with your Dark Dimension grind down in the comments. Are you on an earlier Dark Dimension planning to use some of these characters? Are you also working on Dark Dimension 7 at the same time as me? Who are you using out of this? What did you do differently? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk strategy. With that said, friends, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks again for coming out and listening to me talk about my Dark Dimension 7 plans. I hope you guys found this useful. And as always, friends, long days, pleasant nights, and I'll see you guys in the next one.